What's up, wrestling fans? We're the Hills Maniacs, and today we're going to be giving our predictions for the 5 men and 5 women that we think could win this year's Royal Rumble matches. So we're going to start with the Women's Rumble. I think one of the people I think is more than likely going to win the Rumble probably would be Rhea Ripley, just because of she was the runner-up, I think it was last year, when Bianca Belair won the Rumble that year.
That was
and went
21.
Up to, two years ago then? Oh, yeah, that's right. 2 years ago, Rhea was the runner-up.
She may have also been
runner-up last year. And she did win the title, I guess, but I think it'd be, just based off of everything going on with her being part of Judgment Day and things like that, I think it would be better for her to be the one to beat Bianca at WrestleMania. You know, Bianca's been champion for what, like a year now almost, something like that?
Pretty close, yeah.
Or maybe even since SummerSlam. Now, it might have
been
a
long time.
It's been a while. So I think the perfect person for like Bianca to lose the title to would be Rhea Ripley, in my opinion. And it kind of builds on everything they're doing anyway. They were supposed to fight each other, I think, at like Money in the Bank or something last year, and Rhea got injured or something. So they couldn't have that match. And I don't think they ever fought again after that, or if they did, it was only like a short match, or it was on Raw or something. But now that she's part of the Judgment Day and all that kind of stuff going on, I think it makes more sense for Rhea Ripley to be one of the people or the person that should win the Rumble, and then that would kind of define her career, you know, not just, even if she has been women's champion in the past, I just think it's a bigger moment if, you know, she wins the Rumble, or wins the Royal Rumble and then goes to WrestleMania and wins the title.
I also had, for one of my picks, I also had Rhea Ripley. I think they're doing a setup for Rhea to have a title run, because right now I think Bianca's pretty much beat every main contender on Raw.
Pretty
except
close, yeah.
For Rhea. I mean, she might have beaten Rhea at some point, but I think with everything she's doing with Judgment Day, I think it'll be the best option for them to have her win the Rumble. And even if she doesn't win, I think she might be able to. They do have the Elimination Chamber coming up, so even if Rhea doesn't win the Rumble, I don't know if they're doing the Chamber for the title or as a number one contender spot for the title, so they could end up doing that and have Rhea win that and then fight one of the champions, either Charlotte or Bianca at Mania. But I think that Rhea will win the Rumble, just because I think she's like the only one on the main roster that really deserves it right now. Being the person that would be like the biggest threat, I think, for other than a past winner like Charlotte, Becky, or Ronda, or Asuka. I think this is the best new option for somebody different to win the Rumble, because as of right now for the women, we haven't had anybody win more than one Rumble. So if they keep that streak going, which I like, it'll have to be somebody new. So I'm okay with Rhea Ripley, I think.
Oh, and you mentioned a good point too. I forgot. It would make even more sense if she fought Charlotte for the title, because that would kind of be like a revenge from a few years back when Charlotte won the Rumble and challenged Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's title at WrestleMania, and Charlotte won that.
And it's also the only title Rhea needs to be a Grand Slam champion. So
the next one I have is Bayley. I just think, I mean, yeah, she's already fought Bianca like 6 times, I think, for the title. But she could also go for the SmackDown Women's title. We could get Bayley and Charlotte in the main event of WrestleMania or whatever. But I just think Bayley has come a long way since she made her return. And she's been part of Damage Control, which, let's be honest, though, hasn't really been as big of a faction as it should have been. Like, they lost a lot over the last several months and stuff since they formed the faction. I think that would be a big moment for Bayley, just to win even if she doesn't go to WrestleMania, like, win the title. I think it would still, because she's one of the 4 horsewomen, essentially. Like Charlotte's already won a Rumble, Becky's won one. I don't know if we'll ever see Sasha win one because she's gone. So having Bayley win it would kind of be a big moment for her. And I think even if she's still part of Damage Control at WrestleMania, I could see her winning the title. Her versus Charlotte might be a good match in the main event. I don't think we've seen that as many times as we've seen, like, Becky versus Charlotte or Sasha Banks versus Charlotte. So I think Bayley versus Charlotte might be, like, a good decent main event. I mean, those two have worked well together in the past. So I think
Yeah.
seeing them two, or even just Bayley versus Bianca again, or if Alexa Bliss wins the title at the Rumble on Saturday, maybe Bayley versus Alexa
Yeah,
Bliss.
I forgot about that. They're
something like that. Yeah,
they're having that too. Yeah.
You have the title match happening. There's also, like you said, the Elimination Chamber, so anything could happen. But
Right.
I think Bayley's a good, solid pick to win the Rumble as well.
Well, I was going to pick Bayley, and I actually had her on my list, but I think I'm gonna go with another pick over Bayley. Just because you brought up this person, and it made me kind of have this idea, and I know that she's out of the company right now, but that's never stopped anybody from coming back.
Right.
I mean, you look at Mickie James in last year's Rumble, entered the Rumble as the Impact Women's Champion and was announced as the Impact Women's Champion. So there's no reason for them to not have somebody from another company come into the Royal Rumble match. So I'm going to go with Sasha Banks, or Mercedes Moné, depending on who she comes back as. But I think depending on the situation with her and the company and the stuff that was going on, I think she would be a good fit to win the Rumble. But I highly doubt it's going to happen. Even if she does come back, I doubt she's going to win. But I'll put her on this list because I think she could. And we could see her versus Bianca again, or her versus Alexa again. And then we could see her versus Charlotte again. And then, that could build up for... Or, who knows? Sasha could go after Roxanne Perez, the NXT Women's Champion, and do that like Charlotte did with Rhea, so you could have Sasha Banks versus Roxanne, and I think that would be a cool match. So I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I'll put Sasha Banks on my list for someone winning the Rumble.
The next person I have that I think could win. Now, honestly, I know she's already won a Rumble in the past. She won the first Women's Royal Rumble, but I think Asuka, because I think she's been absent for a while now from WWE TV and stuff. Like, she was here for a while. She was teaming with Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair and stuff like that. But it's been rumored that Asuka might turn to the dark side, sort of, and have this darker persona that she had in, like, New Japan or wherever she used to wrestle before WWE. And a lot of people are thinking that she might debut that gimmick in WWE at some point. So what a better way to do that than her to come out in the Royal Rumble as that persona.
Right.
And win the Rumble, because I don't think she has fought Bianca Belair ever since Bianca was on the main roster. Like, I can't remember exactly seeing them two fight each other. They've teamed up.
Maybe not one-on-one.
Right, and they've teamed up these past few months and things like that. She was one of Bianca's friends, like to go against the Damage Control, Bayley's group and stuff like that. But I don't think we've actually seen these two go one-on-one. So I think that would be a good, not only a heel turn for Asuka where she has this new gimmick, but also she could now beat Bianca Belair and like be this dominant force through the women's division as this new darker persona that she has. I think that would be something interesting, and it wouldn't really I don't think there'd be any issue with Asuka winning again if she has this new persona to it. That would be like a huge moment, I believe. I think her having a nice dominant run as champion with that new gimmick would be good for her.
My next one, and it kind of goes along with Sasha Banks as being a return, and she left at the same time as Sasha, and that's Naomi. And I think it is rumored possibly that she might be returning in the Rumble. Whether or not she wins, that's up to them, but I think she would be a good fit,
I didn't think of that.
We haven't really seen her versus Bianca that I know of.
Yeah, I don't think.
And then I think she fought Charlotte at some point, but it's been a while. We haven't seen it much.
That all depends on who the champion is at WrestleMania.
True, or even Alexa Bliss. I don't know. Naomi and Alexa haven't fought in a while. So
other than maybe tag team titles or something.
So we haven't really seen any of them fight or go after Roxanne. But I think Naomi would be a good fit for the Royal Rumble, just because of, I think maybe if they work out the issues that she had with the company, whatever they were, maybe this could be the company's way of being like, hey, we're extending the olive branch, here's our apology for whatever happened, you can win the Rumble and get a shot at Charlotte or Alexa or Bianca at Mania. So I think it would be cool to see Naomi finally, after all the stuff she's done, she's the Kofi Kingston of the women's Royal
really.
Rumbles.
That's
Handstands
true.
and guardrails and all kinds of
Keeping
stuff.
her feet in bounds at all
so
times.
just I think it would be cool to see Naomi come back and win.
Right, and you sort of got that bloodline stuff too. Like a lot of people
That's
wanted
true.
to say, have said she should join the bloodline because she's married to Jey Uso. So like, what a better way to do that? She wins the Rumble, wins the title, and then the bloodline, if they remain champions after WrestleMania and stuff, you have her
That's
as the
point.
women's champion. My next pick is a little bit out of the box. I went with Alexa Bliss just because I think she's probably going to lose her title match against Bianca this Saturday at the Rumble. And I wouldn't put it past WWE to have her then enter the Rumble and win it.
Lesnar did it last year.
It happened with Lesnar just last year. It's happened with other stuff in the past too. People have done that, like lost a title and then went and won the Rumble and stuff. So it's happened a lot, and it wouldn't surprise me. And then they can keep building on this sort of Alexa Bliss, like back with the Fiend kind of stuff that they're doing now, and build her up to be that darker Alexa Bliss again. And have her, just like I mentioned with Asuka, having her as like a dominant force and stuff. Have Alexa Bliss back to the Fiend Alexa or whatever, go to WrestleMania and beat Charlotte or whoever. I keep forgetting the SmackDown Women's title can also be involved in this. So it's like I'm picturing everybody like winning and just going after Bianca like we haven't seen that 1,000 times. Alexa beating like Charlotte or somebody
That's
for the title.
Charlotte's fought everybody.
Yeah,
so.
I mean we've seen Alexa versus Charlotte in the past, but I think this version of Alexa, I don't think they ever crossed paths when she was with the Fiend and stuff. So I think that would be a unique WrestleMania main event or for night one or whatever. Maybe Alexa can win the title, go back to SmackDown, and then she can be with Bray Wyatt on SmackDown.
Yeah, I also had Alexa Bliss. I forgot about the title match on Saturday at the Rumble. Right. So I guess it could work out now. If she'll have a reason to enter the Rumble then. If she loses the match, and then maybe like Uncle Howdy comes out and is like manipulates her or something, and she comes out and ends up winning the Rumble, and then goes on and possibly wins one or both of the titles. Who knows? Because if they also do the Elimination Chamber as a number one contenders match, she win the Rumble, win the Chamber, fight for both titles.
You mean like
night
Brock
one
Lesnar
and night
last
two,
year.
night one and night two at WrestleMania, win both women's titles, unify those things, and then we can stop with this split division stuff.
Right.
No, but I think Alexa, she could definitely pull it out if she needed to, I think.
If not this year, I could see her winning the Rumble somewhere in the near future, because she's one of those women that have been around in WWE for a while now, just like Charlotte and Sasha and all that, and she used to be the champion, she used to be on the top of the division and everything else. So seeing her back on top again would be really good for her character. And on the flip side of that, you could also have like Bianca loses her title in the match against Alexa,
That's true
and
too.
she wins the Rumble and goes back and fights Charlotte or somebody for the so you could have the flip side of that as well.
You could have Bianca into the Rumble, yes.
Right. And my last pick, this is just kind of out of the box, but I just kind of want to see it happen because I think it would kind of be funny, but it would also be a cool moment to see. Is Nikki Cross. Because she's back to she's no longer Nikki ASH. She's got this crazy persona going. And you have this whole thing with if Alexa wins the Raw Women's title against Bianca, you get Alexa versus Nikki in the main event of WrestleMania. That's two people that have never really main evented WrestleMania against each other. I don't think they really fought each other that much in the past either. Because they were
former
tag team partners, but I don't know if they ever fought each other. I think one time maybe. They did fight each other once because that's when Alexa turned to, or when Bray came out to turn her into the Fiend or whatever after that, I think. Or maybe that was just a tag match and she left her there or something like that. But I don't know if they've fought each other one-on-one as many times as like other people have fought each other in the past.
And I mean with the Alexa Bliss going back with Bray Wyatt and all the the dark persona that she has. Right. And Nikki Cross also going back to that, we did kind of see the Wyatt family symbol thing behind Nikki at points on Raw.
That's true.
So
they
might be recruiting a couple different people to. I mean, heck, LA Knight might end up joining Bray if he loses the Pitch Black match. So I mean, they could literally be forming a faction, and both of them could end up. We could see them as women's tag team champions again, and both of them.
But they're both part
you
of
know,
the Wyatt family.
or you have one or the, you know, say Alexa wins the Raw Women's title at the Rumble, Nikki wins the Rumble, beats Charlotte at Mania. Now you have both women's champions as part of the Wyatt family, or whatever their division is. So I kind of like that. That's actually a good idea.
Because I just thought of it because she's back to her psycho persona and stuff. So I think that fits well with like the Royal Rumble, unless she's that crazy person that's just gonna like eliminate herself or something because she's just going nuts or something. But like I think that'd be cool for Nikki Cross to do that.
I think that would be cool if they go down that route with the Alexa Bliss stuff. My last pick, and I kind of went with this, you know, I would kind of think, I kind of forgot that Charlotte won the title off of Ronda, and I was kind of hoping to get Ronda versus this person, but now that Ronda's no longer champion, this might not happen. But that's Shayna Baszler. And I picked her, one, because she's never been champion outside of NXT, and two, because if Ronda was still champion, you know, right now Shayna and Ronda are kind of a team, so they might end up winning the women's tag titles or something at some point.
Right.
But they could. Shayna and Nia broke up, you know, because Shayna turned on Nia, and they beat each other up.
Yeah.
So
and Nia's gone.
You know, and Nia Jax is gone. So you could have Shayna turn on Ronda and be like, "Hey, I know we're women's tag team champions, but that looks tempting," you know, and so. You could have Shayna, but I think it would be cool to have Shayna win just because she hasn't been champion yet.
Right, and they could have Ronda win the title back, like you got an elimination chamber, like you said, you know, stuff like that going on too.
Or she could even beat the Raw Women's Champion instead of Charlotte.
That's a good one. I didn't even think of Shayna Baszler. That's a good one, because that would be a interesting moment too, like, or even just have them as like the final two in the Rumble, Ronda and Shayna. Like, what do you do then? You know, it's like that kind of thing as well. Now, as a quick bonus thing for the women's Rumble, who do you think will be like a shocking like return or surprise entrant? Something like that,
other than Sasha and Naomi, Rumble. Because I kind of mentioned them here. Let's see.
Well, you think of yours. I'll go with mine. I'm going to say, like, Nia Jax or something. I think maybe that could be, like, a sort of return to the company or something like that. Or somebody from a different wrestling promotion. Like, imagine, like, an AEW woman, like, Britt Baker or somebody, like, showing up in the Rumble just for one... Yeah, DMD. Just for one night or whatever. You know, it doesn't... Obviously, they don't have to win, but, like, that'd be cool. Like you said last year with Mickie James, you know. But I think it's more likely, like, maybe Nia Jax or somebody that was recently let go... Or however long ago that was, she was let go.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say, because I know this person just said that they were leaving, but she did say she stepped down as the chairwoman.
Oh no.
Of WWE. I will go out on a limb and say that Stephanie McMahon will enter this year's Royal Rumble. She just got surgery. She doesn't have to win. She don't have to win.
She just got surgery.
Who cares? People have come back. Who cares? It's a bonus thing.
If Shane McMahon can do it in the
it's a bonus thing. Who cares? Let's go for it. Stephanie McMahon is going to enter this year's Royal Rumble.
If Shane McMahon can do it in the men's Rumble, I guess Stephanie can. Oh, Lord.
Right.
Okay. All right, now on to the men's Rumble. Our 5 picks that we had for who's going to win that. Who's your first pick for the men to win the men's
and I do
Rumble?
that every time we've done predictions for the Royal Rumble. I've had this person on my list to win the Rumble. He hasn't won yet. He will eventually. It'll be 2023 will be the year of The Miz. You know, his wife just had a birthday. He's going to win the Royal Rumble and go on to WrestleMania, beat Roman Reigns for one or both of the titles, become the first ever 3-time Grand Slam champion in WWE, The Miz for the win. He could start number 1, go coast to coast and win the thing. He could come out number 45 in a 30-man Rumble and still win the thing.
Oh, God, no. Imagine if it was The Miz, though.
Yes, The Miz. He is winning. It's not, and that is not a prediction. That is a spoiler. The Miz for the win.
All right, my first pick, I guess it's more of an obvious one, but I just think like the way the story has been playing out and stuff, I think Cody Rhodes is most likely a guarantee to win this thing, just because they will. I mean, I don't agree that they should have. They announced ahead of time that he's going to be in the Rumble. I think it would have been better if it was like a surprise and then he comes out and wins. But I still think him being announced to be in the Rumble and him winning the Rumble would be a huge moment for him, because his last stint in WWE, he was Stardust and nowhere near possibly winning the Rumble, and now you look at it, he's going to be this main event guy. Even if it's not this year, I could see him being world champion at least by the end of this year. Even if he doesn't win it at WrestleMania or something, I could still see him winning the title, even if it's not off of Roman or whatever. But I think the Royal Rumble, winning that for him would be a huge moment. I think a lot of the fans would really love that, and it's someone different that you wouldn't have expected at all.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure of the 15 people that they've revealed for the Rumble, I think Seth is in the Rumble.
He is. Yeah.
So
Seth and Cody interaction.
I think something will happen where Seth will cost Cody,
or Cody,
or both involved.
You think they're gonna fight
Seth,
one more time?
Seth will eliminate Cody Rhodes, and then Theory will eliminate Seth or something. To keep both rivalries going. Then you could have a triple threat match for the United States title.
There you
Cody
go.
U.S. for the U.S. title instead of
He's the American Nightmare.
But I mean, I hate that they revealed that Cody was coming back in the Rumble. They could have saved that for the Rumble. I think the reason they revealed it is because the poster had Cody Rhodes on it,
so and maybe they wanted to sell tickets or something.
They kind of had to then reveal it, that he was coming back. But I did have Cody Rhodes on this list, but I think it's too obvious of a choice, so I'm not going to count him as one of my 5. And I'm going to go with a returning superstar who's been out of action for a long time now, since after Mania, I think, and that's Big E.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
He's been out with his neck injury and stuff. If he's cleared, I don't know if he's cleared.
I think it was before WrestleMania.
Was it before Mania?
Because New Day fought Sheamus and them at WrestleMania.
Okay, yeah. So
to get revenge.
Okay, so he's been out for pretty close to a year then.
Almost, yeah, pretty much.
And so I don't know if he's healed or not. I don't know if he's medically cleared to compete.
That would be a good
But I think, they announced Kofi's in the Rumble, and they haven't said anything about Xavier yet.
Final 3, New Day right there.
Yeah, but I think that Big E coming back and winning the Rumble will really give him that push again that he needed while he was there. I mean, he's a former WWE champion. He won Money in the Bank, cashed in the briefcase, won the title. He was at the top of his game. Then he lost the title. And
then kind of went back down.
Kind of went back down. I think this will give him that push. Not that there's anything wrong with him being involved with New Day. New Day's great, but I think that to give him this push again, and then he could come back and he can go after Roman, which I don't think we've really seen one-on-one.
No, I don't think they
at
ever
least
fought.
recently.
Or at
if
least,
they did, it hasn't been recent.
Yeah.
And then for one or both of the titles, if they end up splitting the titles.
Do you think Big E would win if he fought Roman?
That I don't know. I guess it depends on which title he fights for, or if he fights for both.
And that's a good choice too, because then you get the New Day versus Bloodline stuff to continue, and kind of stuff. You get the 6-man tag team.
And you could have a unification. You could have the Usos hold all 3 titles. They could hold the NXT tag team, the Raw tag team.
That's a good choice. I would also say along that same line. This wasn't one of my choices, but you could almost say imagine if Kofi Kingston won.
That's the only thing he hasn't done. In the
I mean
Rumble.
we've already had Kofi Mania, but just to have him win the Rumble before he eventually retires and we never get to see his epic moments in the Rumble again, I think that would be a cool thing.
And after his botched elimination last year where he was supposed to hang on and didn't, I think it would be cool to see Kofi win. But I didn't have him on the list just because I don't think it's going to happen.
My second choice, just going by recent storylines and stuff, and I think a lot of people have chosen this guy as well, is Sami Zayn. I think it fits in well with the Bloodline storyline, which I love that they've been doing, by the way. It's all this stuff with Sami trying to keep himself in the bloodline with Roman and all them, and all the storytelling and little details in that has been incredible. Probably one of the best storylines I've ever seen just in wrestling in general. the way the story's been written and the acting and all that kind of stuff. But I think it makes it emotional because then not only does if Sami Zayn wins the Rumble, now you get that struggle with him, like should he face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Because then does he want to, what's more important to him, winning the title or being a part of the bloodline? And then you get that kind of, that's how they split him from the bloodline, because now he, or even if they do turn him from the bloodline before that point, well, now he can be like, well, I'll just take my title shot then, thank you, you know, and stuff like that. I think that might be an obvious choice as well, and I think it would be even better if it was like an accidental win. Like maybe he's thrown through the middle ropes, and then whoever the final two are, would eliminate each other by accident or whatever, and Sammy wins that way. And then now you get these 3 months or whatever until WrestleMania of him deciding, like, should I forfeit my Royal Rumble win so that I don't have to face Roman and all that kind of stuff. That dynamic to keep this storyline going up until WrestleMania. I think we'd get a lot more incredible moments from that, just with his internal struggle and everything else after winning the Rumble in that fashion as well.
And it would end up being like Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton in 17.
Where they're part of the team.
When Randy Orton was part of the new Wyatt family, and they won the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and then, you know, Orton wins the Rumble, and he's like, I'm not going to challenge Bray Wyatt. I'll go after the you know, whatever. And
and then he, like,
decides I'm going after Bray Wyatt. So, but yeah, I mean, I had Sami Zayn or somebody else written because I think either one of them could do it. So Sami Zayn would probably work for the storyline purpose. But after what I saw on Monday with the Sami Zayn court trial thing that they did, I'm picking Jey Uso.
That would be a good one too.
You know, one or both. I mean, heck, they could have 2 winners again. And both of them win and make it a triple threat match at Mania. But it seemed like Jey was taking the side of Sammy over Roman during the trial, and Roman kind of let it slide, you know, and he was like, all right. Well, I'll let it go because, you know, you're saying that he's fine and you showed me the proof and whatever.
That's why the story is so good.
I think it'll be a better, because, you know, they had that whole thing where Roman and Jey were fighting because Roman they wanted to stay in the bloodline or whatever, and he wanted them out and whatever, however that worked.
Roman wanted Jey to acknowledge him.
And he didn't want to because he didn't think he deserved the acknowledgement or whatever it was. But they had that kind of storyline going on, you know, and then Roman attacked both him and Jimmy and all this stuff, and then they ended up joining Roman and winning the tag titles. But you know, they call him main event Jey Uso, and what a better way to prove that you are the main event than fighting in the main event against your cousin, the champion, to end his undefeated streak as champion. I mean, technically he's not undefeated if you count that tag match with him and Sammy against Kevin and but anyways, but he's never been pinned since he won the title. So you could have Jey Uso take the gold from Roman.
See, that's what's so good about this storyline too, is because there's also the other dynamic of what if instead of Sami Zayn, if it's not Sammy that wins the Rumble and it is Jey, like you said, Sammy is the special referee. Roman puts him as the special ref, and then Sammy has to decide
who he sides
with in that. Can you imagine the struggle there as well? Like, just seeing Sami Zayn, like, who do I side with? Who do I help win this match? And then his eventual turn on Roman. And then you get, like, the whole bloodline is broke up. Like, Roman and Solo stay together. Jey and Sammy are out of the bloodline, and then Jimmy has to decide, would he rather stay with his brother or with his, you know, with Jey or his other brother and Roman and stuff? And you kind of get a power dynamic within it's not just Sammy being kicked out, it's now Jey. So you brought that to my attention. So that's where the story could go. There's so many different layers to this bloodline storyline that I think it all starts at the Royal Rumble. I don't know if this is a logical choice necessarily, but and he'd have to win this would be his second Royal Rumble win, but I'd say Seth Rollins as well. Because if you think about it, Seth Rollins is the only one that technically has a victory over Roman Reigns since Roman won the title 2 years ago, because he won by disqualification. I think it was at, like, what the heck was it at SummerSlam or whatever, like a few years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And he fought Roman and won by disqualification because I think the Usos interfered or something. And that was long before Sami Zayn joined the Bloodline as well. And I think it's kind of been rumored that Seth Rollins was going to be involved in something big at WrestleMania or something like that. And what a better way to do that than have Seth Rollins be the one to beat Roman Reigns. Like, this time around, he actually does win, especially if, like, there's stuff going on, dissension in the ranks, sort of, within the Bloodline with all the Sami stuff going on. So they aren't out there to help Roman, and then he loses to Seth. Plus, Seth is, like, a baby face now on Raw, so he's got... he's like the biggest baby face essentially on Raw now, so him versus Roman would be a clash.
Right.
Every time they've had a match together, it's always been good. And I think them main eventing WrestleMania against each other one-on-one, I don't think has happened. I don't think they fought in the main event of WrestleMania one-on-one against each other. I think those two would tear the house down in a main event. That's like a Rock and Stone Cold like level of main event match right there, I think. And I think Seth could logically win the title there.
I mean, it has also been rumored that Roman might fight on both nights,
like defend both titles on separate nights.
You could split the titles, and you could have Seth fight him for one or the other, and then have the other somebody win a chamber or just challenge Roman. So you could have Seth win the Rumble, and then have Sami be the person that Roman fights in the other match because he knows fight him first because he knows he'll lay down for him.
Right.
And then Sami chooses not to lay down for him, or something, or Jay or whoever, but have it so that they don't have to win the Rumble in order to fight Roman if he's splitting the titles and fighting, both nights like that.
That's true.
But you mentioned 2-time Royal Rumble winners, and this has been rumored. It's kind of a long shot because it's also kind of confirmed that he might not be at Mania this year. I mean, it's been speculated. He's said he can't make it. That doesn't mean he can't. And going back to the Bloodline stuff, The Rock.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those choices that's like everybody's expecting it. But if you look at it from storyline perspective, Roman claims he's the head of the table. He's beaten Jimmy and Jay. He's allowed Sami into the Bloodline, who's not an actual member of the family. If they brought Solo in, kind of from NXT, just out of nowhere as like the security, and Roman thinks he's better than everybody in the family. His father or whoever came out and gave him the lei that they wear, or whatever it's called, and acknowledged him as basically the head of the family in a way, and they were supposed to have all these people come back on Raw and have like a celebration of the Bloodline and stuff, but I guess they changed those plans. Yeah. But the one person that could put Roman in his place and say, hey, you're not the head of the table, right. You're not a head of me, is the most electrifying man in all of sports entertainment, The Rock. And of course he'd have to 23 years later win the Rumble again.
First of all, I think The Rock winning kind of takes away from the current stars.
But they've done it the last
I know. But then
many years?
But then again, one of my other choices is also somebody that I'll get into it a little bit later. But I just feel like that kind of, because they're building up all these storylines, with Sami Zayn and all that kind of stuff, and Cody Rhodes maybe even building him up as a big star. So it kind of takes away from that if The Rock just comes in and wins the Rumble. I don't think, if they're gonna have Roman versus The Rock, I think by that point, then Roman might not be champion at WrestleMania. Or like you said, there's 2 nights, so maybe he'll defend one title against the Royal Rumble winner, the other title against The Rock or something, where you don't need The Rock to win the Rumble, but you can still do the match. Or you have Roman just fight The Rock in a non-title match, or if Roman's not champion by Mania, then you can still have that match. I just don't think they need, that match needs the titles. I think it's just Roman needs to be put in his place and have The Rock beat him, Now, my next choice, I don't know if it's going to happen or if he's even going to be in the Rumble, but I'm going with The Fiend, or at least just any version of Bray Wyatt. The reason I say this is because, if you think about it, the only person that Roman really hasn't beaten one-on-one since he won the title was Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins, I guess. But we won't count Seth Rollins because that was a disqualification. When Roman first won the title at Payback, like 2.5 years ago or whatever, when he won the title, it was in a triple threat match against The Fiend and Braun Strowman, and Roman pinned Braun to win the title. And then Bray was moved to Raw, so we never got to see Bray fight Roman in a rematch for the title.
He left.
And then Bray was fired and everything, or let go, and all that stuff happened. And now a year and a half or however long it's been, Bray is back now, and he's got this new gimmick where he's got all these other split personalities and stuff like that. I think what a better person to dethrone Roman than the person that Roman took the title off of in the first place that never got his one-on-one rematch.
Right.
And Bray is on SmackDown as well. And I think you could get into this whole thing of like Roman is scared of Bray, so he keeps hiding behind the bloodline, and Bray keeps coming out and beating up different members of the bloodline. Maybe Roman makes Sammy go after Bray Wyatt or something backstage, and he keeps haunting them and taunting them and everything else. And Bray Wyatt hasn't won the Royal Rumble. With him being fired, last year or whatever, like, we never thought we'd see that again.
Right.
So if he's gonna start being the Fiend again, or Uncle Howdy, or whatever gimmick he's doing now with his split personalities, he could almost have a Mick Foley moment in the Rumble too, come out as 3 different people or something.
Right.
I think it'd be a big moment if Bray wins the Rumble and he's the one to dethrone Roman at WrestleMania.
Well, and I kind of like that because they had kind of a theme going for a while. They had in 2018 they had Asuka and Shinsuke win the Rumble. You had 2 Japanese superstars win the Rumble. The next year you had Becky and Seth, husband and wife, win the Rumble. The year after that you had Drew and Charlotte, which wasn't really anything, but it kind of made more sense at the time. And then you had Edge and Bianca. Bianca became the first African American Rumble winner and won the titles and stuff. And then last year you had 2 returning superstars win the Rumble, Ronda and
it was the UFC Rumble essentially. 2 UFC
basically
Rumble.
yeah. So you had Ronda and Brock. So if you go with that theme and you have Alexa win the women's, you have Bray win the men's.
Yeah, there you go.
Then or whichever one happens first.
Right.
So I could kind of see it, but I don't think it's going to happen because of who the champion is. You have to have that set up, and I think with Roman being both champions and him being in this bloodline stuff, he's had a rivalry with Kevin Owens for how long? And he's wanted to end Kevin Owens and just be done with Kevin Owens. What a better way for Owens to get back at Roman than to win the Rumble and have to fight Roman one more time. But what they'll do is Kevin wins the Rumble and challenges Roman for one or both of the titles. Probably one of them. I think they're going to end up splitting them again. But Roman will have Sammy fight Kevin and defend Roman's title in order to stay in the bloodline. He'll give him that kind of, you want to prove you belong in the bloodline, you defend my title. You lose me my title, and you're out of the bloodline. That could even be, and he has to fight his best friend, Kevin Owens. That could even be what ends up happening at the Royal Rumble as well, because Roman's fighting Kevin there. Right. Like, what if he just decides, I don't want to do this match, I'm going to maybe Kevin will win the, I know Kevin's in the title match, but and if Kevin doesn't win, he could come back, win the thing. So I think my last pick, is Kevin Owens.
Now my last pick, kind of still on the same. A lot of these were associated with like Roman Reigns.
Right. I mean, that's who the champion is.
Well, I think he's going to be the champion going into Mania. I think that's kind of obvious.
Yeah, he's not going to lose it.
Bigger stage for someone to dethrone Roman finally would be at WrestleMania.
Right.
But going along with that same theme of like people that Roman has crossed paths with even recently, my pick is John Cena. I know John Cena has already won 2 Royal Rumbles, but I think for this one, I think it's a bigger moment because this would be his, if he goes to WrestleMania, fights Roman and wins, that's his 17th world title win, which is a big moment.
And his 3rd Rumble.
And it's his 3rd Rumble. Yeah, so he'd be up there with Stone Cold in the terms of Royal Rumble
He would tie
wins.
both records.
But also, what a bigger WrestleMania moment than you get like Roman's streak of being the champion, dominating for the last 2 years versus Cena's 17-time world champion winning the title and stuff like that. And I don't think it's random that they just brought Cena back just for one match last year.
I mean, they claimed it was because so that he could fight a match every year for the last 20 years.
I think that still has something that's good. Like Cena probably isn't gonna compete like every month and stuff now. Like he's not a full-time superstar again, which is why we haven't seen him since that tag match on SmackDown. It was almost a month ago, I think, at this point. So I think
it was December.
So I think him coming back in the Rumble isn't all that out there, And I think him winning the Rumble and then going to WrestleMania, Cena retires after this or something, but he wins his 17th world title to surpass Ric Flair's record of 16 world championships.
Also tying Stone Cold with 3 Rumbles.
And also, so making history on his way out kind of thing. Maybe he could even just forfeit the title the next night on Raw or something and have other people. Maybe Roman just wins him back, I guess.
Right.
At WrestleMania Backlash or something. But at least Cena gets that 17th world title before he officially retires from pro wrestling and just stays Hollywood full time. So I know people probably wouldn't like that necessarily, that Cena won again, but I think it still plays into the storyline because they recently introduced Cena into this bloodline feud type of thing, and especially since Cena teamed with Kevin Owens and they won that tag team match, so have Kevin loses and then Cena wins the Rumble and faces Roman at Mania. That's a bigger main event, I think, than Roman versus Brock was last year to combine both titles. Cena's 17th world title versus Roman's streak of retaining the title and everything else. Now for the men's Rumble, who do you think is a surprise entrant?
Okay, I had a couple, and I kind of just went by the location of the Rumble, because it's in San Antonio, Texas, and the last 3 years, the last 3 times it's been in San Antonio, Texas, one person has been in all 3 of those Royal Rumble matches, in 97, 2007 when he won, and 2017, and that's The Undertaker. And I think he did say in his Hall of Fame speech, never say never. I don't think he's going to win. He was here on Raw, so was Kurt Angle, though. So, with DX.
The Undertaker was good,
I mean...
That's a good point.
I don't know if he'll want to. I mean, it might be...
Even if it's not...
He might just want to stay retired, whatever. It's fine. But I think with it being in San Antonio, Texas, I think The Undertaker and or Shawn Michaels... coming out of retirement for one last super kick over the top rope to The Undertaker.
No, I don't think.
Dumping him over, whatever. But Shawn did make the point when DX was out here on Raw. He did make the point to make sure everybody knew that he was retired from wrestling. So he wasn't gonna attack Gunther because he's retired. But he did come out of retirement once before when The Undertaker and Kane challenged him in Triple H, so Shawn, it's in his hometown. He doesn't have to win. He don't have to, don't have to go very far. You could build something out of it. Have somebody have Austin Theory eliminate Shawn Michaels, or have an NXT superstar eliminate Shawn Michaels, and then have Shawn make their life horrible on NXT. Because he's in charge of NXT. So you could do something fun with it, and have Shawn. Since he is the general manager. I also had John Cena on my list for a surprise.
Oh, really?
And I also had Randy Orton. Because he might be back. He might come back at least for that. You think? His injury.
Yeah. My surprise entrant that I chose would be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the match at WrestleMania last year. He looked like he was in good.
Texas.
He looked like he was in good shape. Like he hasn't lost his touch in the ring. Essentially, I know he was only facing. He was facing Kevin Owens, so Owens probably made him look good, but still, they had a 20-25 minute match or something like that at WrestleMania.
I mean, it was fun, too, to see
surprising. We thought it was just going to be a quick thing or something, whatever.
That was night 1?
Kevin wins, or that was the main event of night 1. But to see, maybe Stone Cold comes back in the Rumble, gets a nice pop, maybe eliminates a couple people, whatever, and then gets eliminated by Kevin Owens or somebody. I think that would be cool as well. Or
you get the 3 legends, Undertaker, Shawn, and Stone Cold.
Like you said, it is in Texas, so Stone Cold is from Texas.
But then again, there's also another Texan that we're overlooking who's currently working with WWE on the NXT brand, and that's 2-time two-time Hall of Famer Booker T.
Oh, T.
Vic
I mean,
Joseph
he could
did
also-
ask him what number he drew on
Right.
NXT, so Booker T could also enter the Rumble.
Right.
So who knows?
Well, there you go, guys. Those are our predictions for who we think will win both the men and women's Royal Rumble match this year in 2023. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments section. Who would you pick as surprise entrance for the Rumble? Let us know that as well. Thank you for watching the video, everyone.
Remember, leave the scumbaggery at home, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye, guys.